So just before we start the agenda for today, is we're going to just quickly do a MiRO introduction, obviously telling you a bit more about our company, and then we're going to get into the IgniteNet introduction, IgniteNet applications, advantages of the 60 GHz applications, and then also the IgniteNet product range, followed by the software and calculator. Okay, awesome. So let's get started. So we are MiRO, and we're a member of the Adega Group. And our motto in life is we help empower you to connect communities. So yeah, at the end, that is what we strive for. We help you to give, and we give you the correct products in order to make a difference in the world. Again, awesome. Just a bit about the company. So we currently have 18 years of industry knowledge, so we really know what we're doing. We can really help you with any sort of application, any sort of solution. Please send it through to us. We've got a team of highly specialists and professionals that can help you give you the perfect solution for that specific application. Again, and then also we're a member of the Adega Group, as I mentioned, and we have a BE level of 4. We sell to over 35 countries. We've got 5 branches currently. Our headquarters are in Gauteng, Samrand. Then we've got a branch in Durban, Nelspruit, and Cape Town. We also have a branch in Kenya, Nairobi, and then we also recently, 3 years ago, started a new distribution center to keep more stock in order to help you guys fulfill projects fast and effective, as well as with month-to-month purchases. So that is very nice to know that we do keep a lot of stock at all of our warehouses, at each branch and at our DC. And then we've got over 170 staff members working for us. In our sales catalog, a very interesting fact is we've got over 2,500 items on our sales catalog. We're a very innovative company, so you can imagine that this number keeps on increasing every day, every month, every year. We keep on bringing in the latest and greatest products and staying ahead of the curve. Again, and then also another interesting fact is 95% of our orders get shipped that very same day. And every 12 seconds, we ship one new product. And in 2020, we shipped over 640,000 products. Again, so let's quickly look at why you guys should choose us to be your trusted partner. So first of all, we do tailor-made solutions. So you bring us your project, your application, whatever. As I mentioned, we've got 18 years of industry knowledge and experience. Bring it to us. We've got a team of experts that will help you create the perfect solution for that specific application, from the initial planning of the project up until choosing the perfect product for that specific solution. Then also, secondly, we provide you guys with a complete solution. So we've got a massive and a very diverse portfolio of technologies and solutions that will guarantee that you will give you the correct solution for your application. We like to think of ourselves as the one-stop distribution shop. Again, just to quickly look through the entire portfolio that we offer Wi-Fi products, broadband products, wireless radios, point-to-point and point-to-multipoint, mobile products to keep you connected on the go, same with LTE to keep you connected anywhere, as well as the infrastructure. We have the masts, the cables, the connectors, everything, the brackets, everything that you would need in order to fulfill that entire solution. We've got a great VoIP portfolio, voice over IP, a security portfolio which we specialize in enterprise CCTV IP surveillance, as well as normal Wi-Fi connected cameras and access control and time and attendance solutions. We've got networking products, PoE switches and networking switches, from a small 4-port PoE switch up until a big 48-port PoE switches. And there's numerous brands to choose from and numerous products to choose from. So we've got a wide and diverse portfolio within our networking portfolio. Then also in regards to the fiber portfolio, we've got everything except for the fiber cable itself. So we've got the fiber routers, we've got the fiber switches, ONUs, everything that you would need in order to fulfill a fiber solution, except for the cabling itself. And then lastly, we've got a portfolio, which is our IoT portfolio, which is growing tremendously, especially with the industry that we are currently in, with the internet and the connectivity growing every day. The IoT is growing with that. Okay, and then in regard to support, we've got a great reputation and market edge is built around strong technical support and outstanding customer service. So with us, you're dealing with a company and personnel that's fully trained on the latest and greatest technologies. We are committed to give you professional advice for planning your solutions, effective after-sales services and technical support. And then lastly, obviously, very important, we're here to give you the best products for your needs. We also now recently have a on-site assistance. So if you want any information regarding that, please just mail support@miro.co.za and they'll get back to you. Then in regards to legal compliance, it's our job as product managers to make sure everything that we bring into South Africa is legal to provide to our clients. So we make sure we have all the type approvals on all of our equipment if needed to ensure that the industry has access to access of steady supply of legal products. Okay, so we make sure all that is done in the back end. And then in regards to financing, we are partnered with IPFin. So if you want, we've got a hardware finance option where you can pass the finance hardware onto your end user, and we've got a run rate terms account that you can apply for your month-to-month purchases, and we offer terms from 7 to 30 days. And then lastly, we've got, lastly, we've got our training portfolio. So we provide our clients from certified training till introductory level courses, whether it's custom on site or at one of our branches. This will help you and your company to enhance your skills and knowledge by attending these training events. Obviously, we have just started, and we are bragging about it because it's very, very brilliant, started a brand new online training platform, obviously with the era that we are currently in the situation with everything regarding COVID. There's a lot of people still at home, and we are still here to provide you training on our MiRO Academy platform. So you can go on our website, there's a tab called MiRO Academy or a training tab, and that will take you through to our MiRO Academy platform, training platform. And there's loads of content, free sales training, nice videos, 0 to hero trainings, and many more. For more information, you can just contact training@miro.co.za, and those guys will get back to you as soon as possible. And then lastly, we have presence on a couple of social media platforms. So we are currently on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and we've got an awesome YouTube channel where we post the latest and greatest promos, new technologies that's in the industry, and so on. If you want to follow us, please do leave a like sometimes if you like the video, and it will be much appreciated. Okay, so let's get started with our IgniteNet presentation. So first of all, I'm going to tell you guys a bit more about IgniteNet. I'm not going to bore you about all the facts and figures and all of that, but IgniteNet is a very big company and it is growing tremendously. Their headquarters are in Irvine, in California, the USA. They've got a couple of development offices there as well. And then obviously they've got development offices in China and in Europe, Lithuania in Europe. And they are there to help us just expand that logistic portfolio. So we are getting our products from everywhere in the world. Again, and then obviously we have been trusting IgniteNet with our 60 GHz solutions since 2016. So since 2016, we started distributing IgniteNet in our company. It opened a lot of doors for our clients because obviously the frequencies, the unlicensed frequencies out there are unfortunately a bit saturated, and it is difficult at the moment. And that's why IgniteNet and the 60 GHz portfolio is growing tremendously. Okay, let's look at the IgniteNet applications. So that we have done applications for fixed wireless access, enterprise networks, education, hospitality, security, and surveillance. So this is also, it's a very secure, but we'll get into the advantages in the next slide. But the entire 60 GHz is a very secure frequency. So it's perfect for mission critical security and surveillance, especially for banks and places where you can't afford to lose any footage whatsoever. And then obviously your service providers and Wi-Fi operators. So let's look at a couple of advantages of the IgniteNet 60 GHz. Okay, so first of all, 60 GHz provides you a complete noise-free environment for point-to-point applications. They do support point-to-multipoint applications. However, it's not supported in the South African market. So if you want to find out whether your country, if you're in a different country, a neighboring country, or wherever, just call your local regulatory body to find out whether 60 gigahertz point-to-multipoint is available. Okay, we do have products that we can provide you for point-to-multipoint. Unfortunately, it's just not legal to provide them in South Africa. So you can't run a point-to-multipoint 60 gigahertz in South Africa. Again, hopefully one day that is going to open. And then, as I mentioned earlier, it is a highly secure frequency, which is perfect for security and surveillance applications, because some surveillance applications, you can't afford to lose anything. You can't afford to lose any downtime on your footage, especially with banks, mission critical places and applications. Okay, and then obviously this 60 gigahertz is great for frequency reviews, and you can do back-to-back radios on one tower, which is perfect because there's no self-interference. And then in terms of the form factor of these units, you would think they're pretty big, but they're not. They really are a small form factor, which at the end is very beneficial for our service providers and our WISPs and for backhaul solutions and everything, because it takes up less tower space. And less tower space means less rental costs. If you don't own your own infrastructure, rental costs are a big headache, and that is a big factor to consider when choosing a short distance backhaul solution. And then obviously, advantages is it gives you ultra high capacity speeds. We'll get into the speeds later on in the presentation, but it is short distance. Please remember that 60 gigahertz is millimeter wave technology. So the distance is pretty short. Well, we'll talk about why that is important. Sorry about that. I think, okay, there it is. It is high capacity speeds. We'll get into the throughput in the next slides. Okay, then also, very awesome benefit that IgniteNet solutions provide you is failover frequencies. So obviously 60 gigahertz gives you a very secure and a very awesome capacity speed, but there are a bit of problems when it comes to failover, because 60 gigahertz are quite affected by rain fade, oxygen absorption, but we'll get into that in the next slide. And that's why backup frequencies are very important. So IgniteNet supports a 5 gigahertz backup frequency as well as a 2.4 gigahertz. But the 2.4 gigahertz failover frequency is more for your configuration. So it's not really a failover frequency. So more on the 5 gigahertz is failover. The 2.4 is just to connect to your radio, your your MetroLing One 60s in order to help you with configuration. Again, and that's that for the advantages. There's so many more, but this is just, I couldn't jam everything in one slide. Okay. So let's look at the IgniteNet product range. It's very simple, it's easy to remember, and there's only a couple of products, and most importantly, they work. Okay, so let's look at it. So first of all, we're going to talk about the MetroLing Introduction. So before we get into the products themselves, let's look at the MetroLing Introduction and what it offers you. So MetroLing is an interference-free and secure product that provides you interference-free and secure links. The only problem is, please also remember that it does not do far distances. It can't handle far distances. The furthest distance that we got was 2.5 kilometers, but within South Africa, the furthest distance was around about 1.6 kilometers, and that was with a radio that has a higher antenna gain and obviously higher transmission power. Okay, so you're normally looking at the distance of 1.6 kilometers for the higher gain radios. Also, please remember that one big problem and one thing to consider, let's call it that, to consider is on the 60 gigahertz is the attenuation from oxygen. So the O2 molecules in the air absorb the RF energies in the frequency. Therefore, causing the link to drop to its 5 gigahertz frequency, and then obviously it's going to help you. And then once so that was with the distance. That's why you can't go further than 1.6 kilometers because of oxygen absorption. Another problem that you should consider is rain fade. So if it's in let's call it a coastal area where there's a lot of rain, please remember rain fade, because as soon as there's harsh conditions, harsh rains and everything, weather, it is going to affect your link. So it is going to switch over to your 5 gigahertz. Once that is over, once the conditions are better, throughout time, your link will go back to your 60 gigahertz frequency. Again, and another nice thing about the 60 gigahertz, it has a very narrow beam width in order to avoid any self-interference. And as I mentioned, it has frequency reuse for the urban areas in order to reduce self-interference on a tower. Again, awesome. Let's go to the next one. So multi-gigabit capabilities. So the MetroLing, as I mentioned, the MetroLing product line utilizes advanced yet cost-effective 60 gigahertz technology to provide you multi-gigabit capacity at truly disruptive price points. So really, these radios aren't expensive at all. It's really a good investment, and the return of investment is pretty good on these short backhaul solutions. Again, so as I mentioned earlier, the distance of these radios can do up to 1.5 kilometers if you use the higher range, the flagship model, which is the MetroLing 2.5 60 radio. They support a antenna gain of 35. We'll get into that in the next slide. But yeah, with that, you can get up to 2.5 gigabits throughput per radio, and that's aggregate. Again, just to show you guys the flexible bridging. So if you want to do point-to-point short backhaul solutions, so this, as you can see, is a relatively urban area. So they are doing, let's call it a campus. They are sending data via short distance point-to-point 60 gigahertz solution via the MetroLink, and obviously from there they can do a point-to-multipoint with all the other radios. Obviously, if you're in South Africa, you're not going to be able to use the point-to-multipoint IgniteNet radios, as they are not available for the South African market. You can only do the point-to-point. But however, you can do a point-to-point as a short backhaul solution and then use another radio. If you are in the South African spectrum, use another point-to-multipoint radio and obviously send data through to all the different sites. Awesome. So let's look at the Triband flexibility. So as I mentioned, you've got your 60 gigahertz backhaul, so for short distance. You've got your 5 gigahertz failover for obviously if there's any rain fade or harsh conditions or anything currently happening that's disrupting that frequency, it will fall over to 5 gigahertz. And then obviously the 2.4 is for access control, in order to help you configure the radio quicker and more effectively. And then also these radios are very quick and easy to set up. There's a couple of alignment tools that you can buy extra if you want to obviously set up the link much quicker and more effective. With the 60 gigahertz, unfortunately, you're gonna need a nice alignment scope to help you get the best alignment, because it's a very narrow and niche frequency. And then obviously they've got a couple of phone apps that will help you with the deployments as well, these radios. Also guys, if you do have any questions, please remember to just pop it into the question box. I will be more than happy to answer them. If I can't answer any questions, I will definitely send the answers through to IgniteNet themselves, and then they'll send me the answers and I'll send it back to you guys. Okay, and then obviously they've got a highly functional operation system. We're going to get into the features later on in the presentation, but they've got a great responsive design user interface. They've got a jumbo packet support up to 7,900 bytes. They've got management VLAN support and VLAN pass-through, standalone and cloud control operating modes. They've got point-to-point client modes, flexible bridging, as I mentioned earlier, link failovers from the 5 gigahertz, it will show you once a radio has failover to the 5 gigahertz. It will send you a notification. It will give you basically all the info that's needed in order to run a successful operation. Again, yeah, as I mentioned, this is just an ongoing slide. It's very powerful management. It is free, the management up until 15 devices, the entire software. Obviously, after that, you are going to pay for this. It's a yearly, annually fee for that, but we'll get into the pricing of the annual fees later on in the presentation. Okay, so let's get into the MetroLing product line. So first of all, let's talk about let's call it the baby MetroLink, the MetroLing 160. So what is the one? The one stands for 1 gigabits per second net throughput. Okay, so it's aggregate, so it's 500 up, 500 down on the 60 gigahertz. Okay, and then obviously they support 5 gigahertz failover on a 20, 40, and 80 millihertz channels. They've got 2 gigabit ports. They support 1 USB port for Bluetooth aiming dongle. So that Bluetooth aiming dongle is just a small dongle you plug in, and that will help you. And you connect it via your phone app and via your phone to that Bluetooth dongle, and that will help you with configuration. And then the distances are up to 1.5 kilometers. So the smaller one can do under a kilometer. It has a lower antenna gain. So here it is. So you've got your MetroLing 160/35, which is the bigger one, and that supports a 42 dBi antenna gain, and on the 5 gigahertz, it's a 22 dBi antenna gain. Okay, so obviously this radio, the bigger radio, can handle distances up to 1.5 kilometers. The smaller one has a 36 dBi. This smaller one, 36 dBi, and that can only handle distances up to 1 kilometer if you have good line of sight. The 5 gigahertz antenna only supports a 16 dBi antenna. The capacity is incorrect. That should be 1. Apologies for that. So it's 500 megabits up and 500 megabits down. As you guys can see, it's pretty simple. The next product line that's coming up, the MetroLing 2.5, looks exactly the same, and the specs are exactly the same. We'll get into that in the next slide. But yeah, that's basically what you can expect of the MetroLing 160. They're quite cost effective, these units. It's really not going to cost you an arm and a leg in order to deploy the MetroLink radios. Okay, and then obviously the flagship of the entire series is the MetroLink 2.5/60. So once again, the 2.5 stands for 2.5 gigabits per second throughput. So that means, let me just get my maths correct here. So that's 1.25 gig up and 1.25 gig down. It does support a 5 gigahertz failover on the 20, 40, and 80 megahertz channels. It has additional access point in order to connect it, that 2.4 gigahertz access point to connect it. It has a 2.5 gigabit port plus 1 SFP port. It also supports 1 USB port for that Bluetooth aiming dongle that I mentioned earlier with the MetroLing One. So that's just basically to help you configure. So once that dongle is plugged in, you can connect it via Bluetooth. You can stand, you don't even have to climb up the tower or whatever to configure. You can just stand there with your quick app and help you configure this entire setting. It is also 24 to 48 volt DC in. So in regards to the antenna gain, exactly the same. As I mentioned, so as you can see, the MetroLink 2.5 is exactly the same as the MetroLink 1. Only major difference is that it supports 2.5 gigabits per second throughput. Obviously, aggregate. So 1.25 up, 1.25 down. Okay, so as you can see, this is the MetroLink 6035, right? And it has an antenna gain of 42 dBi. So it can handle distances of up to 1.5 kilometers with good line of sight, and the 5 gigahertz, once again, 22 dBi. Same with the 6019, this is the smaller one. It has integrated antenna of 36 dBi integrated antenna, and on a 5 GHz it is a 16 dBi. So we recommend this one will only support distances of up to 800 to 8 kilometers, same as the MetroLing One. Please remember that we are working with millimeter wave technology here in frequency. It can't go further than 1.6 because then you are going to experience oxygen absorption, and that's going to affect your link tremendously, and it's really going to give disruptive. It's really going to disrupt the entire process and management system on the back end. Okay, yeah, and then obviously at Wapalooza, it's one product of the year for 2018. So it's a pretty cool product. It's really cool. It is really, once again, not that expensive to deploy. You're not going to pay an arm and a leg. It's really good return of investment, these products. And once again, it gives you secure high throughput for short backhaul distances. And sorry, most importantly, you're not going to experience interference. We're living in a world where there's a lot of interference and unlicensed frequencies. Unfortunately, it is like that. It is saturated. So that's why this is a great way to get out of that, but still in the unlicensed market. Okay, so it's super easy and fast to deploy because you don't need any licenses, because 60 gigahertz point to point is unlicensed in South Africa. Once again, the point to multi-point solutions, you're going to have to find out if you're in a different country, you're going to have to find out from your local regulatory body whether the 60 gigahertz point to multi-point solutions are legal to deploy. Okay, so just let's look at the two brackets. These two brackets work on both MetroLinks, so both the MetroLing One and MetroLing 2.5. Okay, so basically, very, very simple to remember. You've got the LC precision bracket, which is the left one, the one on the left-hand side, and then you've got the long-range precision bracket. I normally suggest the long-range precision bracket with the MetroLing 2.5, the bigger MetroLink, okay, and the smaller radio for the LC precision bracket. Okay, this one is just a bit more robust and a bit more bulky. And as you can see, the pole diameters are 50 to 80 millimeters. The aiming range on a vertical is plus minus 7.5 degrees. A horizontal is plus minus 3 degrees. Wind survivability is 201 kilometers per hour. So they're quite robust. These brackets are really sophisticated, really robust, bulky, and it's really going to keep the radio up and strong up there. And obviously, it's a very niche frequency, so you don't want your bracket to affect your configuration of your frequency. So as you can see in the long-range precision bracket, there's the pole diameters are 45 to 100 millimeters. So obviously, as you already can see, it can handle bigger poles, where the LC brackets a bit smaller poles or infrastructure. And then obviously the aiming range on the vertical is plus minus 12 degrees that you can play around with it, and horizontal plus minus 15 degrees. Same as the LC precision bracket, it can only handle speeds up to 201 kilometers per hour. That's quite fast. It's very good, these brackets. Okay, and then as I mentioned earlier, there's a couple of accessories that you can buy. Alignment tools, that's what we call it. So we've got your alignment scope, and that is mounted on the radio itself. Okay, and it fits on all the MetroLink radios and helps you reduce alignment time. That was the word that I was looking for in the previous in the previous slide. Those brackets are robust, and it helps you to keep the radio steady in order for that alignment to be perfect. Okay, so that was my sentence. Okay, so that's basically that for the alignment scope. It's just a simple scope that will help you with alignment, and it fits on all the MetroLinks. That is how easy it is. Okay, then also we've got the Link Assist application. Once again, you've got that Bluetooth dongle that I mentioned earlier that you just plug into all the MetroLinks. Doesn't matter what MetroLink, it does support every MetroLink, and it's obviously available for Android and iOS devices. And it will help you with remote, well, quick configuration. You don't even have to climb onto the master in order to configure anything on the radio itself. So that's a very nice and effective tool. You just download it from the Play Store. Okay, so let's look at the point-to-multipoint solutions. Once again, it's not for the South African market. It's only for markets that support point-to-multipoint 60 gigahertz. But nevertheless, let's look at the features of this very, very powerful MetroLing 10 gig Triband radio. So it's obviously an Omni enterprise access point. It supports 60 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz, and 2.4 gigahertz base station. Okay, so that's pretty intense, this base station. It has a 10 gigabits per second aggregate throughput, so that's very, very high. It supports distances of up to 150 meters. Depending on the area, it all is based on a case-by-case basis. If it's a very dense area, then obviously that distance could be less. If it's open, could be a little bit more, depending once again on the application. It has on the 60 gigahertz side, it has a 17 dBi integrated antenna. Again, and then obviously with this radio, you can do backhaul and plus last mile on the 60 gigahertz. So it has 320-degree antennas built into this one radio. On the 5 gigahertz, it has a full 360-degree antenna as well for failover, last mile, and access for access points. And then obviously a 360-degree for the 2.4 gigahertz access point that is built in. So you're really getting a jam-packed radio over here. And also not at a price that will cost you an arm or a leg. So if you are in a different country, hopefully one day South Africa opens the point-to-multipoint series, and then we can also introduce you guys to the new new MetroLinks that's basically a MeshLing in the 60 gigahertz. So yeah, this is a very, very awesome device that you can use if you've got massive events that you need to coverage with Wi-Fi. Okay, it also supports one SFP port for 10 gigabits. It's obviously a 10 gigabit port, and then it has a 1 gigabit PoE in port as well. So it's a really jam-packed radio. It's not that big, surprisingly. It's really not that big. And once again, just lastly, I know I mentioned it quite a lot, but it is not available for the South Africans for the South African market, unfortunately. Hopefully one day. However, we do have stock in order to provide units to our neighboring countries where point-to-multipoint is legal and up and running. Okay, and that was that for the MetroLinks. As I mentioned, it is super quick, super easy, and there's not a lot of products, not a lot that can make you doubt yourself. Everything works together. So if you've got a 2.5 radio, use it with a 2.5 gig radio. If you've got a 1 gig radio, use it with a 1 gig radio. And obviously all the brackets work on every single MetroLink. You don't have to worry about that. The Bluetooth dongle works on everything. The alignment scope works on everything. So really, it's just a quick and easy, fast deployment solution. Okay, so let's look at the last solution that I want to discuss today is the MeshLing Introduction. Okay, so what is a MeshLing? So IgniteNet G-Link is a powerful Ethernet over coax converter that enables service providers to deliver gigabit speeds via existing or new coax cable infrastructure. So obviously, we've got still a lot of coax cable infrastructure in a lot of different buildings, and it is there and it needs to be used. So this is a very effective way to use those effectively, those existing infrastructure effectively. The G-Link system is ideal for both providing bandwidth to buildings with outdoor coax, as well as delivering gigabit speeds within buildings using existing coax cable infrastructure, as I mentioned. There's a lot of buildings still out there using coax. So perfect solution for that. Operators can already easily deliver gigabit via the MetroLinks, so speeds to customers wirelessly using IgniteNet 60 GHz MetroLink products. Now they can also easily share that delivered capacity throughout the entire building. So that's pretty cool. So as you can see, that is your converter, and your converter can handle up to 15 slaves. and the next slide is going to explain it a bit better. Okay, so obviously that is your MetroLink radio or your point-to-point short backhaul solution, and then that is then connected to your G-Link, and then your G-Link is connected to all your other indoor G-Links within the building. Okay, let me show you. So you've got your MeshLink. Okay, so you've got your point-to-point or your backhaul solution that's connected to your G-Link. Remember, there's two types of G-Link. You get a outdoor one. Let me just go back and show you. This is the outdoor G-Link, and this is the indoor one. Okay. So this is basically how it's going to work. Is you're going to connect that to your G-Link, your outdoor G-Link, and your outdoor G-Link is going to be connected to all of your indoor G-Links up until 15 slaves per outdoor G-Link. Okay. Also, once again, you've got your point-to-point, and then you can use your outdoor G-Link and split it as let's call it a point-to-multi-point via coax cable. Okay. This is therefore existing infrastructure. It's a quite effective solution. And then that is all outdoor G-Links, and you can connect numerous of devices on this itself. And then obviously on your towers, you've got your MetroLink point-to-point link, and then that's connected to your G-Link, connected to another G-Link via let's call it a point-to-point via coax. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So this is another one, just a mesh link. So once again, your point-to-point link, you got your G-Link over there in both, and that is split into 5 indoor G-Links, and that's in order to accommodate the entire building. Then obviously if you've got another point outside, you can use another G-Link and connect it. Okay, cool. So another very powerful feature of this G-Link is it has passive BOE out and can enable what did I write here? So basically, sorry about that sentence. So it is a mesh link, and this G-Link can power up a backhaul solution. So it can power up your MetroLink, it can power up another radio, a last mile radio, a Wi-Fi hotspot, and a surveillance. Let's call it a CCTV camera as well. Okay, and it supports 48-volt DC in. So that's basically your solution. Simple, easy, if you have existing infrastructure. Okay, and that was that for the products themselves. So once again, super easy. There's not a lot to make you confused whatsoever when doing a solution. We do have strong technical support that can help you plan solutions if you are not familiar with them. So please use them. It is free to get the link plans and everything. So please use it if you are struggling with anything like that. And then obviously we have lastly the EC Cloud. So this is pretty cool. We have the trial cloud, which is free up to 50 devices, and the data is stored for 2 weeks. So 50 devices, that's pretty cool. That's 50. So that's basically 25 point-to-point links for free in terms of your managing system. And then obviously if you have more than that, you can go for the core cloud, which is $99 per year for 500 sites per cloud, and for up to 500 licenses per site. The data is stored then for 30 days instead of 2 weeks. So it is a bit more robust management solution. And then lastly, if you've got a massive deployment, you can go for the virtual private cloud, which is $500 per year. And you can actually custom your domains, your branding, and styling on the website, on the cloud management itself. And it supports 5,000 sites per cloud and up to 500 devices per site. So that's a lot, and data is stored for 30 days. So what can you do with this? You can check your live device monitoring with status, stats, and alerts, bulk firmware and configuration management, at a marketplace, and then obviously they've got free planning tools as well. In the next slide, there's a couple of features on the EC Cloud, which is we're going to start with easy device adoption. So it's not really difficult to add a new MetroLink or G-Link or whatever to the system and to your managing platform. It has multi-level dashboards to help you just help you manage everything more easily. It has custom dashboards with the virtual EC Cloud platform. That's the best version. It has flexible configuration, live device stats, so it will tell you whether a radio is off or not, whether a radio is struggling with rain fade, a radio has failed over to the 5 gigahertz, all the throughput is taking a knock due to due to oxygen absorption. Okay. And then obviously it will give you the link distances and everything. It's so many things that you can do on this EC Cloud platform. It gives you notifications once anything happens to that specific radio, also where it is, the site, the time, everything, and logs. It gives you also client history information to go back on it. Remember, you get on the free version only 2 weeks of storage, and then but you can back that up and then just save it on your PC, and then you're good to go. And it has maintenance and alerting. So once again, if your radio is struggling, if your point-to-point link is taking a hammer, so it will send you a lot of notifications if anything goes wrong. Obviously, with WISPs, with anything back or whatever, you're going to need those alerts in order to stay ahead of the curve and make sure you can obviously fix that problem before it becomes critical. And it has visualization on the maps, Google Maps, and then IgniteNet Marketplace and Virtual Private Cloud. So as I mentioned, that is the latest EC Cloud, the virtual one, where you can do a lot more, and it gives you a lot more backup space and many more sites. And obviously flexible notifications. You don't have to, obviously receive all these notifications. You can switch it off if you don't like it, but we suggest use it because it is there for your benefit. It will help you manage everything much easier. Okay, guys, if you don't have any questions, I think that is all from my side. Just a big thanks to GrandStream for the IP Video Talk meetings. It's always a pleasure working on this platform because it works. I wish I can see you guys face to face, but hopefully until now, this will have to work. And thank you so much for joining. Thank you for giving me your time. It was a fun one. I hope it was informative. Thank you.